Hey, 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 howdy, 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 what's your name, how's it doing, are you rowdy? I'm pretty rowdy, yeah, I am, la 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 la. By the way, my name is Sam. You already know? Well, that's interesting. Anyways, I have a story that I want to tell you, and I hope you're willing to listen to it. Okay, great. So, when I was 4 years old, okay, my mom gave me this really beautiful ring. It had a little ruby on top. Of course, it was plastic. Obviously, she wouldn't buy expensive jewelry for a 4-year-old, but at the time I didn't know that. So I just thought, wow, my mom bought me this ring with a ruby on it. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. But then I got really scared that I was going to drop it. So I ended up keeping it with me at all times. I even tied a little string around it, made it into a necklace, and hung it around my neck. I brought it everywhere with me, and if it wasn't around my neck in a necklace, it was in the drawer of my nightstand, or in a little box that I carried around with me everywhere. I didn't want anyone to steal it, and I didn't want any damage to come to it, so I never let it leave my sight. Until one day, I accidentally dropped it out of the box, and it went rolling everywhere. It fell right out of the box, bounced onto the cold concrete, and it got a scratch on it. And that was when I realized that it was actually a fake. It wasn't real. And it never was real. And that was one of the most heartbreaking moments of my entire life, when I realized that the ring that I loved so much wasn't even real. And I guess you could say that that moment really made me into the person I am today. It really changed my life. Do you have any life-changing stories like that? No? Well, great. So, I have more stories to tell you. I'm a bit of a talker, in case you hadn't noticed. One time when I was 8, my family and I went on a camping trip, okay? We weren't in a camper, we actually pitched a tent. And we were in the woods, and this really weird sound came. We heard leaves rustling. We heard like this weird scratching sound in the near distance, so obviously, me being an 8-year-old, I kind of freaked out and thought it was a bear. And at 8 years old, I still had that ring. But little did I know that when I was 8, that was the last I would ever see of that ring. Yes, this is another sad story, so go ahead on and brace yourself. My life was pretty depressing as a kid. So, sure enough, my suspicion was correct. There actually was a bear. And it tried to grab our food, even though we had it tied up high like you're supposed to do if you're going on a camping trip. The bear still tried to get after it, and eventually it knocked it down. Crazy, right? Yeah, it was a pretty big bear. Like, we didn't even think the kind of bear that it was even around the part that we lived. Crazy, right? Totally crazy. So, me being scared, I made one of the worst mistakes of my life, and I still regret it even to this day. I threw my ring at the bear. And either I'm extremely lucky or extremely unlucky, but the ring flew right into the bear's mouth, and its jaws instantly snapped onto it. The bear swallowed it. It swallowed my ring. And I never, ever got to see it again. I had lost the ring. The ring was gone from my grasps in mere seconds. It was gone forever. The thing that I had held on to for 4 years, that I loved so much, even after finding out it was a fake. It was gone. Gone just like that. Gone forever, and I would never, ever see it again. For it was consumed by a bear. Do you have any heart-wrenching stories like that? No? Okay, good. When I was 12, I had a crush on this amazing person. They were really sweet, and they were really attractive. They were one of the kindest people that I had ever met, and they were in all of my classes. So logically, as a young 6th grader, I decided to try and get close to them. So, I learned about them. Oh, I should probably rephrase that. I learned about them. They use they, them pronouns. And I was so confused. I kept accidentally misgendering them by mistake, and I still feel bad about it, but I was 12, I didn't know any better. So I researched. What kind of people use these pronouns? This is so strange. Why does my friend keep wanting to be called a they instead of a he? You know, those type of questions. And so I learned a lot about actually the LGBT community as a whole, and then I found out that I was a part of it. How funny, huh? Who knew that liking two genders was part of that? I mean, up until then, I didn't really care. I mean, I didn't have parents that discriminated against anybody. So I just thought, hey, I'm free to be myself, so I'm just me. Why should I have to put a label on myself if I don't feel comfortable with it? And after digging deeper, I learned that I don't have to put a label on myself if I'm not comfortable with it. Some people love labels, and that's perfectly fine, but labels just aren't for me. If you want me to use a label on you, that's fine, but please don't use one on me. That's just how I feel. And apparently, after researching even deeper, I realized that quite a few people actually felt the same way as I did. So I ended up accidentally discovering a place of belonging that I didn't even know that I had been searching for my entire life. Do you have a story like that? Oh? Well, that's interesting. Do you mind telling me about it? If you feel comfortable, of course. Oh, you don't? Oh, don't worry. I'm not mad or upset or anything. That's perfectly fine. Only share what you're comfortable with. But, you know how I realized what I was when I was 12? I realized I wasn't exactly normal, and at 13 I decided to come out to my parents. I explained, and they were like, so you're bi? And I'm like, I don't really want to put a label on that. And they were perfectly fine with it. You know, they just said, oh, this is Sam. She likes both women and people who are non-binary. So, things ended up being really great for me in the end. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I talk too much? I'm a bit of a talker. You know, people often say that if you get close to me for 2 seconds, I'll tell you my entire life story in 2 minutes. Well, I guess that's kind of true when it comes to me, isn't it? I'm just someone who talks a lot. But I'm perfectly fine with that. Because again, why should I call myself a person that talks a lot? I don't need to put a label on myself. I'm just me. I'm just Sam. And you're just you.